What is going on, everybody? It's Luke here from Play Like a Jet. Welcome to the 30th episode of Play Like a Jet Live, brought to you by U Stadium. We're going to dive into everything New York Jets today, recap the Dolphins games, biggest takeaways. Zach Wilson's coming back, and then we'll look forward to the Texans game. I've got the king of Play Like a Jet, Scott Mason, who'll be joining us. Also, Frankie, co-founder of U Stadium, is behind the scenes as well. So, gentlemen, welcome in. How's everyone going today?
Yo, what's going on, my man? All is
Not
good.
too.
We have
We're
a
going okay.
shitty game to look forward to, but it's a game we can win, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's a shitty game with a shitty call. Jay Feely on the call, which is always fun. I'm sure Jets fans love listening to him, but hey, he's got to sit there and call the Jets and Texans for 60 minutes, so I think it's unfortunate for him as well. Frankie, let's look back first of all at the game against the Dolphins. What was your biggest positive takeaway from the game before we get into the negatives? What was your biggest bright spot for the New York Jets when you look back at the 60 minutes against Miami?
Well, hey, man. I mean, I was getting a little bit on Elijah Moore the week before he had his breakout game, so it was nice to see him shine because he's a budding star. I think he was PFF's number one ranked wide receiver, and he really looked good. And it's a great thing to know that we have a rookie wide receiver that will be there with Zach Wilson as he matures in his development. We'll have Elijah right there, so that was great to see.
Yeah, as always, the rule for PFF is if it supports your argument, use it. If it doesn't, throw it in the trash because they're garbage. Elijah Moore, actually the second highest wide receiver over the last month of the season per PFF grading. So he's starting to string it together. It's great timing with Zach coming back. Not so great news, obviously, Michael Carter went down the running back most when you look back on that game against Miami.
Luke, I lost you there for a hot second, so I don't know.
No, that's okay.
My connection. Yeah, so I didn't hear that. What was that?
Biggest negative outside of Michael Carter being injured, which is obviously a huge blow to the team, especially with Zach coming back. What was your biggest negative from the Jets game against Miami when you look back at that performance?
Well, hey, man, you want to win that game, right? I mean, there were a few things that didn't fall our way. I thought we played pretty well, but it's a game that you want to win. I thought overall it was a winnable game. Quinn actually had a great game. Just on a side note, he had 15 tackles, which in 2 TFL, so he came to play. CJ had a good game too on defense. But yeah, it's a game you want to win, and it would have been nice to win, have Flacco get a W, and then have Zach be playing this week. It just it would have been nice. But I thought overall we played decently well. I think the run defense could have done a little bit of a better job. It felt like Miami was picking up some yard with Myles Gaskin on the ground, which our run defense isn't as good this year as I maybe would have imagined. I'm sure you know the stats better than I do on that front, but I wish I saw a little bit more from our run defense in the game specifically.
Yeah, I think you make a great point, Frankie, because they have the horses to defend the run. I think we saw that under 2 years with Greg Williams, more two-gapping, a lot more stunts and run stunts and twists on that side of the football. You're seeing a lot more of these one-gap penetration. You heard it in the offseason, Robert Saleh talking about how aggressive this Jets defensive line was going to be. Unfortunately, it backfires in the run game. You're seeing Sheldon Rankins, Nathan Shepard be 3 or 4 yards down the line of scrimmage. They're in the backfield, but there's so many of these trap blocks and whams. And Myles Gaskin was running 6-7 yards before being contacted by Ashton Davis or Quincy Williams. So that was disappointing. I think for me, also disappointing was the usage of that defensive line. We talked about Quinn Williams, Quincy Williams playing well. Quinn Williams had 5 pressures in just 61% of the snaps for the Jets. Nathan Shepard and those kind of guys are seeing the field way too much. I understand Salah's come from San Francisco in the heavy rotation, but it's been really disappointing to see how little they've been using their star players and how that kind of rotation is leading to the Jets defensive line really being below average.
Yeah, no, you make a great point there. I do think we have a nice, solid foundation there moving forward, though, and I think you see these young players developing on a week-to-week basis on defense and on offense also. So I think there was something to take from that Miami game that we can work work off of.
Yeah.
And now with that coming back, there's that excitement back in the locker room. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I think last thing I'll touch on the defense, I thought Bryce Hall was terrific again. He was targeted just 5 times in the game, 20 yards allowed, 4 receptions, no first downs, no touchdowns. Really good to see him developing. He was a 90-plus PFF grade against Miami as well. So surprisingly, they actually let him drift across to the right-hand side of the Jets formation a little bit. He took 17 snaps on that side. So while they didn't shadow a receiver, they definitely utilized his skill set a little differently and kind of made him the focal point of the defense, which was good to see. So nice to see the Jets defensive staff actually make some adjustments after Ulbrich kind of said they were going to stand pat. It was nice to see. I'm pretty sure, Frankie, we've got Scott with us. Is that right?
Yes, we do. Scotty, I'm going to throw you in. I'm not sure if your camera's on or not, but we'll throw you in the stream. You have your audio on, so that'll link right up in there. Welcome, man.
The king of Play Like a Jet. How you going, Scott?
Hey, guys. Yeah, I'm on the turnpike right now, so that's why the video camera's not on. That would be a scary sight. But I got to tell you, it's Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow, and I am very, very thankful for the young talent on this team. I think, Frank, I heard you saying that there seems to be a foundation building here, and really we'll see what happens with Zach Wilson. But Elijah Moore, Elijah Vera Tucker, Michael Carter, those guys all look really, really good. Luke, you talked about how impressive Bryce Hall has been. Obviously, now in his 3rd year, Quinn Williams, so he's not as young as the other guys, but still a young player who's ascendant. I know you and I have talked about this. He had 5 pressures. I think 4 of them got the Jets off the field on big 3rd downs. So the Jets are really starting to build something here. If Zach Wilson hits, this could be a really, really fun team to watch for the next couple of years.
Yeah, you mentioned Zach Wilson, Scott. So let's transition. Obviously, there's been lots of discussion over the last month of season about Mike White, Joe Flacco, Josh Johnson. But realistically, we're back on board. It's Zach Wilson's train. He's driving again. What are the expectations, guys, for Zach? I don't mean necessarily statistically, but what are you looking for to say, yeah, I can see that Zach's developed and Zach's playing better? Is it about the turnovers? Is it about taking less shots down the field? Frankie, I'll start with you. What are you looking for when you watch Zach Wilson against the Texans on Sunday?
I am looking for decision-making. I want to see, is Zach Wilson going to make the right decisions? He needs to take a little bit of or we need as a team, our offensive coordinator specifically, LaFleur needs to take a page out of what McDaniels is doing with Mac Jones in New England. Mac Jones doesn't have the arm that Wilson has, doesn't have the intangibles, doesn't have the playmaking ability or the improvisation. But what he does have is he makes the right decisions on the field. And we have to start teaching Zach Wilson how to play the quarterback position in that fashion. Check down when you need to. We saw with Mike White and Michael Carter. I mean, you have an outlet there, although Carter is injured now, but you want to see more things like that, just because that'll develop his ability to play in the NFL for a long period of time. Don't take too many risks. Just come in and get the ball to the right place. Take what the defense gives you, and I'll be happy. I don't want to see him trying to do too much again. I think he was pressing big time, the first couple games of the season, or 4 games, whatever.
Scott, the offense changed dramatically after the bye week, and people can say it didn't, and they're still running the same plays. I think we all look at it and we saw an increased volume of passing on first down, more of these toss, sweep, and sweep plays. We saw on the flea flickers and all that come to life from this offense. We saw Elijah Moore getting design touches. How much do you think that's going to help and enable Zach Wilson to make better decisions and find more players underneath Scott? Do you think that's going to have a huge impact on his development moving forward this last half of the season?
If I were a betting man, by the way, I would go to my bookie right now because they've got a great deal going on. You can get a no-risk bet, $250 on the Thanksgiving Day game involving the Cowboys and the Raiders. So if you bet up to $250, even if you lose, you get your money back. Just use promo code PLAJ. That's promo code PLAJ. You can double your first deposit all the way up to $1,000. Take advantage of that right now. It's a great deal. Luke, I know you and I took advantage of it already. But if I were a betting man, I would say that is absolutely going to benefit Zach Wilson immensely. And I think the fact that he sat back the last 4 weeks and got to watch how this offense can operate when you don't, I guess, go for the cowboyitis routine, which we saw him do a little bit too much. Frank was talking about that just a second ago. It's important for him to understand that while he can do all the fancy things, he's got to tighten up the simple things, and he's got to be willing to take what the defense gives him. And really, like Frank said, be more like Mac Jones in that regard. Now, there are going to be things that we've already seen Wilson do that Mac Jones simply isn't capable of, and you want to mix and match those. But he's got to master the simple things, and then once he's able to do that, special player, but he's got to come and he's learned from past mistakes, and he's going to be said. And if he can do that, then we'll know that he really has learned. And I'll say this, based on what I know about him from his time at BYU and talking to the people that covered him in the media, that coached him, that played with him, and so on and so forth, Zach Wilson has always been somebody that has never rested on his laurels. He has always been obsessed with finding ways to be better. And that doesn't necessarily mean being flashy. It just means playing better overall. So if I were to guess, I would say that the way that this offense has developed the last few weeks will benefit Wilson because he's been able to see what the offense could be if he just plays within the confines of what he's supposed to do. And I'm looking forward to watching him against the Texans on Sunday.
Do you guys see this stat I just pulled up here? I just threw it on the screen. Scott, you obviously can't see it. But the team with the most yards per game since week 8 is the New York football freaking Jets, baby. And it's not even close. Jets are first with 435.8 yards per game. Second is the Chargers at 400. So we're 30, almost 36 yards more than team number 2, which is insane.
And you know what's easy to think, Frankie? I think people would go, oh, yeah, it's garbage yards. You know, the Jets are just filling up with empty calories late in the game. If you look at a breakdown of their yards per quarter and where they rank in the NFL, their worst quarter is actually the fourth quarter. So it's not like they're just teeing off when teams are playing prevent defense. They're actually not scoring, but, you know, getting these legitimate yards, and they looked a lot better. Booth LaFleur has been a revelation. I think having Beck on the sideline will help Zach Wilson. But the last thing I want to mention, guys, is Zach was very prone to looking at number 84, and Corey Davis just hasn't been beating man coverage. And when he does, he hasn't been catching the ball anyway. I think he needs to look for Elijah Moore and Jamison Crowder because, as we all know, they're the two guys that get open the fastest and the most. That's going to be huge, not locking onto Corey Davis and letting the offense flow through some of these smaller guys who beat man coverage.
Yeah, it's a great point. That is a great point. What I was going to ask from you is this. Do you think that Zach Wilson, do you think by the end of this season we'll look at him as being a budding star potentially in the league? Or do you think we'll look at him as we just need someone that can play quarterback for us for the next 2 or 3 years? I mean, how do you think the rest of the year plays out in your opinion?
I think it lands somewhere between how people thought about Joe Burrow before the injury and what we felt about Sam Darnold at the end of the 2018 season. Now, Darnold only strung 2 good games together. That was the Houston game, ironically, and then obviously the Packers game where Chris Herndon had the one-hand snag over the middle. I think you had a bit of momentum and hope, and then he ended with a couple of stinkers against Buffalo and a couple of maybe Chicago that back half of the season. But then Joe Burrow obviously was a large notch above that. I think he'll be somewhere in between those two. I think there'll be optimism that he's a franchise quarterback, not that he's just kind of a placeholder and the guy. I think he'll showcase his skills. But at the same time, I don't think you're going to be thinking Zach Wilson's ready to take this team to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl next year. I think it'll be a level under that. But I feel pretty confident that Zach Wilson's going to have a lot better touchdown to interception ratio, and people are going to see the flashes more consistently that make them think he's the guy moving forward.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Where are you at with that, Scott?
Scott, you there?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear you go to me. Yeah, I think that if what Luke said happens, that would be a very encouraging sign. The one thing you don't want to get sucked into is we all remember how high we were on Darnold after those last 4 games. We put way too much stock into that, obviously. But he does have more games than Darnold did left now to prove himself. If he can play as well as Burrow did down the stretch, like Luke was saying, it'll give us hope. Now, it's still going to be nerve-wracking because we saw with Darnold how optimistic we got after he had that stretch. And then 2019, he had the mono, he was up and down, and then it all fell apart in 2020. So there's no guarantees. But I think if he can come in these next bunch of games and show that he can play well within the LaFleur system and do what we were just talking about, which is be smart in addition to making those wow throws, then we'll have a lot of reason to be optimistic, especially since we already know what we've seen out of Elijah Moore, Elijah Barrett-Tucker, Michael Carter, and then hopefully Kai Becton when he comes back.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Scott. I think there's definitely a nucleus there on offense, particularly that we haven't seen before, and it is exciting. A lot of those guys will be taking on the Houston Texans this week. The Jets are playing in the big matchup to avoid the number 2 overall pick in the draft, playing the Houston Texans. The loser probably has the front running for that number 2 pick and a guy like Hutchinson or Stingley. Let's get straight to the chase, guys. Who do you think wins this game on Sunday, Frankie? Do you think the Jets can overcome Tyrod Taylor and a Texans defense that's actually playing pretty well right now? They're turning the ball over, I think, 5 across their last 2 games. The Jets got an interception on the weekend, which was incredible. It's like an eclipse. What do you think happens in this one, Frankie? Who do you think takes the money?
I'm going with our team, man. I'm going with the Jets, although the matchup predictor is saying that it's Houston has a 55% chance of winning. Not that I ever care about those things, but I'm going with the Jets. I think we have, this is where we get our first away win. We're 0-5 on the road. Obviously, we're 2-8. We're 0-5 on the road, and then we're 1-2 at home. 1-3 at home, excuse me, or 2-3 at home. So yeah, I'm thinking we won our first road game. I don't have much faith in Houston at this point. And I think with them having one of the worst secondaries in the league, and with the way that we've seen our receiving core sort of play out over the last couple of weeks, I think Zach will be ready. He'll want to show the fans who he is and why we were so excited drafting him second overall. And make people forget about the Mike White 2-week mania or 5-quarter mania. So yeah, looking forward to Sunday. Actually, I think it'll be a fun game. I think Zach will throw the pigskin around a little bit, and I think we'll get a W, our first on the road.
Scott, do you think Elijah Moore can continue this hot streak? If so, is he going to score the first touchdown? I know right now you and Chris Nimbley, our friend, the very big deal, he won't be taking Ryan Griffin as his prop to score the first touchdown. So who scores the first touchdown and who wins the game?
Every week, for anybody that doesn't know the reference, Nimbley comes on, we do a pregame report, we do the last-minute news, injury report, and then we have fun and we go through all the prop bets and the lines and all that. And every week I'll say Ryan Griffin's odds of scoring a touchdown. And he'll always say no on principle. So it's just funny. He'll be like Ryan Griffin plus whatever. No on principle. So I don't think Nimbley's going to be betting on Griffin to score the first touchdown. Look, I'm curious to see because as we've talked about, Elijah Moore is red hot. 5 touchdowns in the last 4 games. And he and Zach Wilson had incredible chemistry together at training camp from everything I heard. Because remember, I talked to all these beat reporters, and all you heard over and over again was Elijah Moore, and that he and Zach Wilson had great chemistry. They were talking on the phone every day. They were BFFs, all that. And to see them be able to play now once LaFleur has kind of ironed out this offense, Moore is on a hot streak, and Wilson is coming back after being gone for 4 weeks, I think that's probably the most exciting part. I don't know if he's going to score the first touchdown. Something tells me that when the Jets score their first touchdown, it's going to be a rushing touchdown. It might be Ty Johnson. But at the same time, I think Elijah Moore is going to continue to be a force. I don't know if he's going to put up 140 yards or 140 yards receiving and 150 plus overall like he did in the last game against the Dolphins, but I think he's going to be really, really impactful in this game. And I'm really looking forward to watching him and Zach Wilson together.
Yeah, it's going to be great to watch. I think while it's been nice to watch Elijah Moore thrive, it's going to be a lot better when you have number 2 throwing him the football. So it's something to look forward to. I guess defensively, we touched it on the podcast, getting ready for the game across at Play Like a Jet. Scott, if anyone's not subscribed, go to wherever you listen to your podcast. Make sure you check out Scott's Play Like a Jet podcast. It is the best that you're going to find in the whole of Jets land. So make sure you do that. But Frankie, we were talking yesterday about something's got to give. The Jets' rush defense, we already mentioned that ourselves, against the Texans' rushing attack, which is non-existent. Philip Lindsay's not there anymore. He's in the division. They got rid of Ingram. Who do you think actually comes out on top of that matchup? Do you think the Jets finally stop someone, or Houston can run it because Miami and Buffalo could too?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think because Tyrod's playing, you always have that threat with the option read, and Houston likes to pull that card a bit. I'm not too keen on our edge speed. I think we tend to look a little bit slow when we have to run sideline to sideline. So I do think that we'll see Houston get a few big plays, and I could see Tyrod actually himself having a few nice runs. But I don't think it's going to be anything that'll put our defense in a position where they feel like they can't stop. I feel like it'll be a bend but not break sort of situation where they're not going to like slash us, but they'll have some decent runs. And that's because our speed sideline to sideline lacks. So I can see it, but I don't think it'll be what Miami did rushing for 115 yards or the week before that with how Buffalo ran on us, which was crazy. But yeah, I think we'll manage. But it's something we need to address next offseason for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, look, Scott, give us your winner, and then I'll get into mine to wrap us up. I think I'm leaning the Jets like Frankie, but what says you? No one knows the Jets better than you. What do you think happens in this game? Do the Jets finally get a win on the road? They haven't won in front of fans since like 2019 on the road. What happens in this one?
Scott, let's get a score prediction. Whatever you say, I'm going to put Vegas money on it. Your score, I don't even care. The odds will be plus 15,000 odds. I just want the score right now.
I would hope you're not doing that, Frank. I wouldn't want to be responsible for you potentially losing money.
I am going to put $10 on whatever score you pick. I don't even know if you can put a score with a book, an exact score, but I'll find a way to do it. And whatever you say right now, I'm going to put $10 on it. I'm fully prepared to
right.
$10.
All right, let's say, and again, this is just me taking a wild stab. If Wilson is better than he was before he got hurt, and I think he probably will be, I think that the Jets will win this one very close. I'm thinking something like 20-17.
Love it.
All right. I'm going to piggyback off that, Scott and Frankie. I'm going to say the Jets win this one 27-23. I think there's not going to be a whole lot of defense played. I think both of those sides of the football will struggle. The Jets have scored put up a good amount of points for the New York Jets anyway, and we put it in context. Obviously leading the NFL in yards over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I think the Jets will move the football. The Texans will too. Hopefully Zach Wilson can execute at a higher level in the red zone. That'll be the difference, because while I wasn't actively rooting for wins, I wasn't rooting for losses either. Obviously, now that Zach Wilson's back, you want to see this kid winning games, taking control of games down the stretch. And that's really what I'm looking forward to seeing. Can Zach Wilson have a money drive in the last quarter a few times to finish this season, so we know that he's not just playing well, but he's also doing it at crunch time?
Yeah, that's big. I don't think have we seen that yet in any way, shape, or form? Not too sure. He had maybe had a nice drive before a half. But yeah, I want to see it at the end of the game. I couldn't agree more there. What's your score, sorry, I didn't catch that. What's your score? I'm gonna take
27-23.
Okay,
Jets.
And I'm actually gonna go, guys. I'm gonna go 34-17. Jets.
Wow,
we're going in big this week, boys. We're gonna have all of our guys playing well. Let's go.
You know what, guys? If you're with Frankie and you think the Jets can win 13+, I'd head across to MyBookie. Make sure you use the promo code PLAJ. You can double your first deposit up to $1,000. Scott already mentioned the great deal they have coming up for the Thanksgiving game between the Cowboys and the Raiders. Money back up to $250. It's effectively a free bet. You can't lose. You get a bonus bet even if they don't finish the game as winners. So, guys, head over to MyBookie. They're doing a great job helping us out with Play Like a Jet. Make sure you check them out.
You want to laugh, guys? You guys want to really laugh?
Yes.
Tomorrow, we're launching an ad campaign with MyBookie, and we're offering the exact same promo as you guys.
There you go. There you go.
We haven't said anything yet, but Nick messaged me. He's like, we finalized a deal with MyBookie, and we're going to launch it. You guys are promoting the – but whatever. No. For all sake, this is a Play Like a Jet show. You do it through the Play Like a Jet link. Those are rules. Rules are rules, all right?
It just shows that my bookie knows where it's at with Play Like a Jet and U Stadium, right?
Hell fucking yeah, man.
Exactly.
Truer words have never been said.
Guys, have we got any last thoughts? Anyone got anything to leave with before we shoot off and get ready for this game on Sunday?
Yeah,
actually, I want to ask both of you guys real quickly. Frank, start with you, and then you, Luke. You can go after that, and then I'll chime in at the end. What are you guys thankful for as Jets fans? I know this almost sounds like a trick question, but it is going to be Thanksgiving, so I was curious to hear your answer.
Oh, I love this, man. You're switching it into good vibes flow. You have to. It's family time. You know what? I am thankful for the Jet fan base as much as I can go off on them on Twitter. I feel like we're all a huge, big, dysfunctional family, and I wouldn't want it any other way. And I love the fan base, and I just find it – I love the fights, although it pisses me off in the moment. And there are days I wish I never, ever started a Twitter account, and I never logged into it again. I think to myself, never log in again. But I'm thankful for the Jet fans. I think at the end of the day, we all love our team, and it's always a pleasure having passionate people, fans around you all the time. So I'm thankful for that.
Scott, I'm thankful for Jamal Adams. I can't thank him enough. Nothing will ever do more for this franchise than Jamal Adams.
That's a good one. That's a perfect one off of mine. That's how we have to do it.
He's given us Elijah Vera-Tucker already. There's a serious chance here down the stretch. Look, they've got some easy games. They play Chicago and Detroit, but they could lose 3 divisional games still. They could be picking in the top 7. You could be looking at Aiden Hutchinson, Derek Stingley. Maybe you get Evan Neal if he drops. Could you imagine if we turn to premier position and prospects from Jamal Adams, who also got $80 million? It's incredible. Jamal Adams and Joe Douglas really helped us out there. I think that's huge. And then also, I'm thankful that Mike LaFleur turned this baby around because, man, I was as critical as anyone of Mike LaFleur. But ever since Zach Wilson got injured, he was able to go to the booth. I think that's really resurrected the Jets' season on offense. And I think that was a blessing in disguise. And both of those things have been huge for the Jets and will be moving forward. What about yourself, Scott? Give it to us. What have you got?
Man, I guess what I'm really thankful for right now is what I was saying before, the fact that for the first time I can't even remember the last time, the Jets seem to have young, exciting, productive offensive pieces that they picked in the NFL draft. It hasn't happened in a long time, certainly during the Mike McCagnon era, during the back half of the Tannenbaum era after Mangini, it hasn't happened really. So that's something that I'm really thankful for because what did we say so many times, Luke, before the season started? We weren't all that concerned about the wins and the losses. What we wanted was for Zach Wilson to develop, so that's still TBD, and we wanted to watch a fun offense that would be competitive. And we're finally starting to see that. So I'm very thankful for that, and I'm absolutely thankful for Elijah Vera-Tucker, Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, and Mekhi Becton too, obviously, although we haven't, unfortunately, had a chance to see him yet.
Look, Scott, I think that's on you because I enjoyed the Jay Samaro, Devin Smith era of New York Jets football. I think that was incredible. Look, hey, that's okay. I'll give it to you, though. Frankie, I think you were going to jump into something to finish us off.
You know what? I think I should refrain from this conversation, but I want to know how off base was I on a 1 to 10 scale with my Mike White meltdown in terms of wanting him to start over Joe Flacco. 10 being I'm completely insane off base, 1 being as justified as 2 + 2 is 4 on that thought there.
I think you're about a 6 for me. I think.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't care who started realistically. I mean, look, I'm just sitting here treading water waiting for Zach Wilson to get back. I understood both perspectives. I understand people who said, look, I want Mike White to start because we need to see if he's the backup. It sounds like the Jets are going to offer him a restricted free agency. They're not looking to trade him anyway. He's going to be the long-term backup. So it sounds like that was the decision they made. At the same time, it sounded like they wanted to keep this baby going. They were worried about Mike White against the blitz. He definitely took some steps back in that last game he played. So they decided to use Joe Flacco. He had 116 pass rating against the blitz. So look, in the end, I think it was a bit of a 50-50 discussion. I think you could easily land on either side. That's why I went 6 personally. I probably lent towards not caring, to be honest. But look, I'm glad it's in the rearview mirror and we can move forward. But I don't think you were tremendously off base. I just thought you were very passionate about something that maybe wasn't worth getting too fired up about because the Jets stink and they're going to lose anyway.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I just wish we would have seen one more game out of Mike White, because if he happened to just have a day, and there was likely he was not going to, but if he were to have a little bit of a day, I think the value add in him as a quarterback, or just the asset value that you have in him, could potentially lead to something in the offseason. But I mean, is someone really going to trade for him? And at the end of the day, Elijah Moore had a big breakout game for us, which I think is probably the most important thing that we wanted out of our offense coming out of Sunday anyway. So
if you had a big game, Frankie, and you thought the Jets were possibly a playoff team next year, which for me, I don't care about your backup quarterback until you're a playoff caliber team. I think that's always been my motto.
Yeah.
If Mike White played well on Sunday, let's just play if for instance, would you have traded him in the offseason, or would you have kept him if this team looks like it's getting rolling down the back half of the season? They look like possibly a playoff team next year. Do you keep Mike White, or do you cash out on him if he played well on Sunday?
And who would be starting next year, week 1?
Zach Wilson plays great down the stretch for the rest of the season. Looks really good. He's the franchise guy. But if he gets injured next year, you want Mike White backing him up. Is that what you would have done, or would you trade him still?
What I would have done is, if Mike White were to have a big game against the Dolphins, say, and we win the game, I think you have to start Mike White again, even if Zach is back. I think you basically start Mike White until he proves that he's just not an NFL caliber starter, which listen, gun to my head, he's not, obviously. But I just think the way things were rolling with him, and the momentum and the energy that he had brought to the team and the fans, and the players also. I mean, Zach was talking big about Mike White. I just think judging him based on what happened against Buffalo, I think it wasn't fair to him at the end of the day, in my opinion. But it also was completely a crapshoot how he even ended up starting and had that big game as well. That could have been completely luck. So who knows at this point? It's a moot point right now. I think we're rolling with Zach, and I have the utmost faith in him, and hopefully he'll make, as we were saying earlier, all of us, he makes some good decisions on Sunday, so we can look at him as someone that you can trust, and not just hope for a big play every time he gets the ball.
100%. Guys, that is Frankie. He's the co-founder of U Stadium. Big thank you to Scott for joining us as well, the king of Play Like a Jet. Make sure you do us a favor. Head over to the U Stadium YouTube page, all the social media pages. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can send us super chats, all of those things. There's a ton of great content over in U Stadium. Make sure you're watching Time Out with Nick and Frankie. Make sure you're watching the Play Action podcast. All of those things, support the channel. And then across for us, make sure you're checking out Scott's podcast, Play Like a Jet, anywhere you listen to your podcast. One of the best in the business. Make sure you check him out. And then across on our YouTube channel, we're approaching 1,500. We're getting rolling. Awesome videos up, if I don't mind saying myself, on Elijah Moore, on Quinn Williams. He thought it was so good. He pushed it on his social medias today. So make sure you check it out, the Play Like a Jet YouTube channel, U Stadium YouTube channel. That's Frankie, Scott. I'm Luke. It's the 30th episode of Play Like a Jet Live. We'll see you next week. Thanks very much.
Peace in the East.